Welcome to this session on mindfulness practice, and we're going to add a little compassion practice that is much needed in these times near the end of that. We're going to go about 45 minutes. If we finish a little before that, there'll be an opportunity for some questions and answers. If you're watching this for the first time, I'm not going to do a long introduction on mindfulness. That is on some of my earlier mindfulness sessions that you can find on my YouTube channel, the Dr. Joe Parent YouTube channel. So let's just begin. Take your seat, however you're sitting, whether it's in a chair or on a cushion of some kind. If you're on a cushion, you can sit loosely, cross your legs on a chair. If your knees are lower than your hips, you can put your feet flat on the floor, about your feet hip width apart. If you are sitting in a chair and you have long legs like I do, and your knees are a little higher, you can, again, loosely cross your legs in front of you. Ideally, you don't want to be leaning back in your chair, but rather sitting up. And you want to feel like you're very upright, but not rigid. It'll feel as if someone were pulling a cord on your cowlick, so that the back of your head extends gently upward, which makes your chin naturally come in a little bit. You're not tilted down. You're not looking up all spaced out. Your shoulders are not curled forward or pulled back, but just let your arms hang to the sides. Leave your elbows where they are, and then swivel your hands up so that they are either palm down on each of your respective thighs, just behind your knees, or palms up, one on top of the other, kind of like this, in your lap. Either way is very workable. The idea is not to be strained with your arms pulling you forward or pushing you back, and feel like you're centered and not tilting one side or the other. You can even rock a little bit to feel and get yourself centered, both forward and back and side to side. Your lips can be either touching lightly or slightly parted. You don't want your teeth clenched, but you don't want your mouth wide open, because you're not going to be breathing through your mouth so much, mainly through your nose. If a little bit of air escapes on the out-breath through your mouth, that's fine, but we want the in-breath to be, as much as possible, just through your nose. The in-breath has a quality of energizing, the out-breath a quality of relaxing. So we focus more on our out-breath in this practice. We'll start with our eyes closed to get ourselves grounded and centered, but then the practice is done with our eyes open. At first, just open slightly and looking downward, and then in the second part of the practice, looking straight ahead. So I'll introduce that as we go. Start by letting your eyes gently close. Feel yourself in your chair. Really let your weight sink into the chair or the cushion that you're on. Feel your body. You can wiggle your toes, move your legs a little bit. Get really fully present in your body. You know, our bodies are always in the here and now, but our minds are spending a lot of time in the past and future. So we want to synchronize our body and mind by tuning our mind into our body. Feet, calves, thighs. Wiggle your butt a little bit on the seat. Move your shoulders. Feel your back and your stomach. Your arms. Get yourself all set. Feel your breath coming in and out. And now, starting at the top of your head, just notice, scan yourself with awareness. Just notice if there are places that you're holding some tension. Now, you need some tension to hold your posture, to be upright, because you don't want to be slumped. You want to be upright, and you need some tension to hold that, but anything else is unnecessary. So check your forehead, your scalp, eyes, cheekbones, and ears. Notice your jaw. Sometimes we're holding residual tension there that we don't realize. Just let it soften. Neck and shoulders, another place where we hold tension. Use the tension you need in your neck to keep yourself upright, but nothing more. Let everything else melt. Let your shoulders just hang there. You don't need to hold them up. They won't fall off. Chest, upper arms, and upper back. Rib cage all around. Lower back, stomach, and deep belly. We often hold more tension in our deep belly than we realize. Just let it soften. Let it sink down to the bottom of your torso. Hips and pelvis. Sometimes we're clenching down there, a little tight. Just let everything soften. Forearms and hands, thighs, knees, calves, ankles and feet. Take a nice full breath and start at the top of your head. And as the breath goes out, just do a gentle sweep all the way down from head to toe. And we usually think of our minds as being behind our foreheads, like the control center up there in our head. But you can let your awareness drop into your body a little more. It's as if you're falling backward into a nice, soft, easy chair or sofa. Just let your mind fall back and down, settling slowly down the back of your throat, behind your chest, behind your solar plexus, like a leaf settling slowly to the bottom of the pond. Let it settle down past your navel, a few inches below the navel, just in front of your spine, in the deep core of your torso. Let your awareness settle there. It's quiet down there, much quieter than when you're in your head. And you can feel the gentle expansion and contraction of your torso as the breath moves in and out, like a gentle current at the bottom of that pond. And with each out-breath, just let yourself sink a little bit more into the seat you're on. Sink down and imagine with each breath that you're more and more merging with the earth. It's as if your body is part of the earth, but extending upward majestically like a mountain. And let your breath come and go as it will. Be an observer more than a director. Sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, more gentle, more forceful, coming and going like the wind. And let your mind relax and be open without a lot of expectation to whatever you're going to experience, like the sky that covers the earth without partiality or bias. Body like a mountain, breath like the wind, mind like the sky. Now let your eyes gently open, looking slightly downward at about a 45-degree angle. Whatever you're looking toward, don't focus on it, but soften your gaze so that you see more the space that you're in than an object in front of you. You're aware of your lap and your hands. It's almost as if you can see your own body in this space. Let the breath gently move in and out. And let your attention rest on the internal sensation, the internal feeling of filling as the breath comes in, the internal sensation of emptying as the breath goes out. Filling and emptying with a general awareness of your posture. That's all you need to pay attention to. Nothing else you need to think about. Now, our minds do tend to wander, so during this practice, your mind is likely to drift off into a daydream. But they don't last forever. And in the moment when you realize it, you go, oh, you can make a little mental note, daydreaming or wandering. And at that moment, you're already back. You're already awake from your daydream. Just reconnect with your posture, the internal feeling of filling as the breath comes in, the feeling of emptying as the breath goes out. And we'll do that just for a few minutes. If your eyes have closed and you've gotten drowsy, your posture has fallen down a bit, just reinvigorate your posture. Open your eyes a little wider. Raise your gaze a little bit more towards straight ahead. Notice how the breath comes in to fill you, how the breath goes out as it empties. And if you've gotten kind of spaced out and lost in thoughts, again, reinvigorate your posture, lower your gaze a little bit, and feel the deep core of your torso as it fills and empties. Do that for a minute or so more. And now for the next part of our practice, again, reinvigorate your posture and raise your gaze so that you're looking more straight ahead. If there's a TV screen in front of you, you can turn a bit to the side so that you see the space that you're sitting in. Open up your peripheral vision. Soften your gaze so that you see the whole field of your vision, as far to the left and right as you can see, as far above and below as you can see. Without moving your eyes, you just let them rest straight ahead, but not looking at the object, but more aware of the space in front, to the sides, and all around you. You can't see it, but you have a sense that it's there behind you as well. And without moving your eyes, just notice colors, shapes, and shades of light and dark in your field of vision. Next, without closing your eyes, open your hearing in all directions. Listen for sounds. You can hear my voice coming out of your device. Listen for sounds all around you, as far as you can hear. Sounds near and far, pitched high and low, loud and soft sounds. Next, tune into your bodily sensations. Your weight on the seat you're on, your feet against the floor, hands on the cloth or skin of your lap. The air on the skin of your hands or arms or face. how your body moves as the breath goes in and out. You might feel your clothing as your body moves. The air coming in your nostrils, cool and dry. The air going out of your nostrils, warm and moist. You might feel your pulse in your chest or fingertips, wrists or neck. The other senses, smell and taste, if they're available to you. And the sixth sense, which is thoughts, your mental perceptions. You mentally perceive your own thoughts. In this practice, environmental mindfulness includes thoughts as well. And you get to let your mind wander, but wander in the present moment among sights, sounds, physical sensations, smell, taste, or thought appearances, all happening in the present moment. It's only if the thoughts take you away into a series of thoughts, like a daydream, when you wake up from it, just as we did before, reconnect with your posture, your physical sensations, your vision, and your hearing. We'll do that for a couple of minutes. Any awareness of your breathing is primarily the out breath. As we said, that connects with relaxation. As the breath goes out into the space in front of you, your mind opens up into environmental awareness. Good. Thank you. Now, usually when we do a practice session, we want to begin with an aspiration. And that aspiration is, may this practice awaken me more. But we don't want to just do it for ourselves. So if we start with the motivation or the aspiration that may this practice awaken me more so that I can be of more benefit to others, that's even better. And when we conclude a session, we usually want to reconnect with that aspiration and extend whatever benefit we got from the session to share it with others. If we're just doing it for ourselves, it has some effect, but it's of much more benefit if we share with others. So we usually say something along the lines of, may the practice I have just done be of benefit to others as well as myself. And when we conclude this whole session, we're going to say that together if you would like to join me. But we're going to go a little further, and beyond our mindfulness, we're going to also introduce a compassion practice, a kindness and compassion practice, so that we're actually going to consciously think and extend ourselves to benefit others. Now, the way this practice works is we begin with ourselves, because first you have to make friends with yourselves to really be able to extend yourself to others. If we're trying to protect ourselves or we don't feel good about ourselves, it's much harder to extend to others. So for this practice, you can either start with your eyes closed or open, whichever you'd like to do, whichever you're more comfortable with. And for this, visualize in your heart center. It's at the center, at heart level, in the center of your chest, a beautiful clear crystal made of light. It can be any shape that you choose, but clear and crystal-like. And this crystal has transformative properties, that whatever you gather into it that has negativity, it immediately transforms into the opposite positive energy. So we're going to take any feelings, any negative feelings we have towards ourselves, any kind of struggle or suffering that we're having, and you can include any physical discomfort or disease. And imagine that as you breathe in, you gather that from all parts of your being into that crystal in your heart center. It transforms, and as you breathe out, that crystal radiates out the cool moonlight of kindness that fills your being with the positive qualities of freedom from disease, freedom from suffering and struggle, positive feelings toward yourself, kindness and forgiveness toward yourself to replace those negative feelings. So we'll do that for a few breaths. Breathe in and gather all the negativity and suffering and struggle into the crystal in your heart. It transforms. Breathe out. Radiate out this cool moonlight of kindness that fills your being with peace, happiness, and health. Breathe in all the negativity into the crystal. Radiate out positive energy, peace, happiness, and health. And having made friends with yourself in that way, seeing that you can relieve your own suffering, you're naturally moved to want to relieve the suffering of others. And it's easiest to begin with the people that you care about. your family and your friends. So imagine them, and now you can do this either with your eyes closed or open, whichever you're more comfortable. Imagine a circle around you of all your friends and family, all your loved ones. They also have struggles and suffering. They also have negative feelings toward themselves. They also may be suffering from illness. For each of and all of them, as you breathe in, gather all of that negativity into the crystal in your heart center. It transforms instantly and radiate out as you breathe out. Radiate out to all of them. Rays of cool moonlight of kindness that fills their beings with peace, happiness, and health. Breathe in all the negativity into the crystal in your heart center. It transforms and radiates out positive energy that fills all their beings and replaces that negativity with the positive qualities of relief, peace, happiness, and health. We'll do that for a few breaths. If one person comes to mind, particularly like one of your parents that's suffering in old age, you can focus on them for a few breaths. And just gather in all of their negativity and suffering into the crystal in your heart and radiate out that cool moonlight of kindness that fills their beings with relief from suffering, relief from struggle, contentment and happiness. And now, as best you can, expand that circle around you to include everyone in the world. People that you have met, people that you don't know, people you like, people you don't care for. They all share something in common, and that is life and the wish for happiness and peace and freedom from suffering illness for themselves and their loved ones. And that extends beyond humans to all creatures. So as best you can, from all directions, all living beings, gather in all the negativity, suffering, and struggle and illness into the crystal in your heart. It transforms instantly and radiate out as you breathe out in all directions. That crystal has limitless capacity. Light goes instantly in all directions to all beings and fills their beings with peace, happiness, and health. We'll do that again for a few breaths. The crystal is made of light, so it has infinite capacity to gather in, and it instantly transforms, and an infinite capacity to radiate out cool moonlight of kindness in all directions to all beings. And now you can relax and let go of the visualization. Lower your gaze a little bit and recollect yourself into your body. Synchronize your mind with your body, feeling your body and your breath. Traditionally, we conclude this kind of compassion practice with an aspiration that are called the four immeasurable thoughts or immeasurable minds. They're wishes for ourselves and all beings. May I and all beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. May I and all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May I and all beings tap into and experience the great joy that exists beyond conventional notions of happiness and suffering, beyond temporary happiness and suffering. May I and all beings live in equanimity, free from grasping, aggression, and ignorance. So we have a few minutes, and I'm going to offer that anyone who wants to unmute themselves can. So I think you can go ahead and do that if you have a question. I'll go through and offer you that opportunity in case you weren't able to before. And if you have a question, go ahead and ask. Joan, did you have a question?
I didn't have a question, no.
Okay. Yes, Marcella. Did you have a question? Ah, there we go. Can you unmute?
Great. You can hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Joey. Hello. Great to see you. I have a question regarding the breathing. Just was wondering, do you breathe into your lungs? Do you call it lungs? No, chest. Chest. This is chest, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or do you breathe into your belly? How do you breathe?
That's a good question. Okay. So the idea is to feel like your breath is filling you. Now, literally, you can only breathe to your lungs. But when we're uptight, we usually breathe very shallowly. So the idea is to cultivate a practice of breathing and feeling like the breath comes in your nostrils, goes down the back of your throat and the back of your chest, deep into the core of your torso. It's almost like if you were pouring something into a cup, it would go down the back and fill it from the bottom up. So you feel like the breath comes in and widens and lengthens your back and then fills your chest last. And it goes out the same way. It goes out of your chest and then finishes by emptying your torso. There's an interesting book called Breath, The Lost Art. And it's by an author named James Nestor. And the title is Breath. And he talks about the fact that we usually don't breathe fully in, but we also don't breathe fully out. We don't really finish by pushing our diaphragm all the way out. So very traditionally, at the start of a meditation practice, there's at least 3 breaths where you breathe in, and then when you breathe out, you keep pushing it out and pull in your your lower torso, your deep belly, and push up your diaphragm to push all the air out. You'd be surprised how much we have left in us. So you do those first 3 or so cleansing breaths. And then after that, breathe in and let it come down your back and fill deep into your torso. It'll feel like deep into your torso. What you're actually doing is just deeply filling your lungs. And we don't get to the bottom of our lungs very often. We often breathe very shallowly. So we're going to talk about that when we get into the golf program. And so I'll introduce the golf program with that same question of how to breathe before you go into a shot. I hope that helped. Anybody else? I can see you. You can raise your hand. Doug, did you have a question?
You know, I wasn't going to ask it, but now that you said that, I'm kind of curious about, you know, you walk us through the different senses.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering, technically, is it possible to kind of feel more than one, I mean, kind of be aware of more than one sense at a time?
That is a great question. Okay, so meditators throughout history have discovered that no, it is not. It seems like we're more than one sense at a time. Like you can be looking at my picture and hearing my voice, but what's actually happening is you're going back and forth between hearing, listen, hearing, looking, hearing, looking, hearing, looking, hearing, looking really fast. It's likened to a monkey in a room with 6 windows. And the monkey can only look out one window at a time, and it's jumping back and forth from window to window to window to window to window, but can only look out one window at a time. And again, that 6th window is thoughts. So if you are noticing what you're thinking, all the other senses go to the background. There's a background awareness of them, like there's light coming through all the other 5 windows, but you're only focused on one at a time. So we shift back and forth. And the rest of the senses are in the background. It's like when you're listening to something, your vision doesn't go black, doesn't go blank, but you're not really attending to it. And what we sometimes do to heighten one sense, we close off the other ones. Like if you're tasting a fine wine, you know, you close your eyes for the taste. But it's important to go back and forth between smell, taste, smell, taste. But when you're tasting, you're not smelling. And when you're smelling, you're not tasting. So that's kind of how it works. And that's why this practice lets you move from one sense perception to another and recognizing that there's one primary at a time and the other in the background. So I'll talk about that. And we're going to transition now out of this practice. So thank you all very much. Thank you for your kind attention. And we're going to conclude this session. Again, you can repeat after me if you would like. May the practice I have just done be of benefit to others as well as myself. And as I often say, if you're feeling particularly generous or you want to cultivate generosity, you can say something like, may the practice I have just done be of even more benefit to others than myself. So thank you for your participation in this mindfulness and compassion meditation session. And that's the conclusion.